Hey you guys, so as promised, I'm going to give you some modifications for the yoga fix or yoga extreme fix or yoga fix extreme for the 21-day fix extreme. These modifications are based off of week 2 yoga fix extreme. I don't know what's coming up in week 3 because it's not out yet, but I wanted to offer you these modifications and of course invite you to do whatever feels good. That's what yoga is about. Do whatever feels good, skip anything that doesn't feel good, and feel free to make it your own. I have a list and I'm sorry if I need to move the camera around a little bit, but these are in order of what I saw in week 2. So hopefully this helps for week 3. Okay, so autumn starts out with a series of sun salutations, which is, really syncing the movement with the breath. And she starts out standing, and this whole standing, folding, flat back, folding, out to plank, and then moving through what she's calling a vinyasa, through a chaturanga, which you might find extremely difficult because it is extremely difficult. So I'm going to show you and then I'm going to give you a modification. So she goes from chaturanga to upward facing dog. And I'm going to offer you a different way of doing this, if I can get this camera to hang out where I want it to be. Okay, there, that's better. Okay, so she's going from flat back. Oh yeah, and flat back, that's great. She can reach the floor and have a flat back. I can't. So flat back, you can always have your hands just below your knees or just above your knees to keep your flat back. Forward fold. Somehow she's getting you to a plank. And then a chaturanga is basically a tricep push-up, well, the bottom part of a tricep push-up. So if you're gonna do the chaturanga, you want those elbows to hug in really close to the body, and the elbows should point backwards. So she has us going chaturanga, down, flip the feet, and up into an upward facing dog. This is a very difficult move. It took me many years of yoga to be able to do it with proper form. And if you don't do it with proper form, it's like doing a tricep push-up without proper form, right? It can really hurt in your shoulders. So another way of doing it is if you are in, I want you to be able to see me, but I have limited range here. Here we go. If you are in a plank, is tap your knees down, bend your elbows, still do that tricep push-up, and then scoop your body through. Leave your legs on the floor, leave the tops of your feet on the floor, and press yourself into cobra, and then curl the toes under and back into downward facing dog. The idea with downward facing dog, it's just very humid, sorry. The idea with downward facing dog is that you're really placing equal weight in your hands and in your feet. And so you want to be making this kind of pyramid, right? You don't want to be kind of like this, that's like a plank. So you really want to think about pressing into your hands, almost like drawing your shoulder blades a little bit towards each other, not extremely, but enough to engage everything, and then send your hips up towards the sky. So for some of us, that might mean keeping our knees bent, and that's okay, right? So I'm in my cobra here, and cobra, don't let yourself sink like this. Press into those hands, right? You don't want to dump into your shoulder joints. You want to be pressing into those hands. If your elbows hyperextend like mine do, sorry, you're gonna have to put a little bend in your elbows to engage your triceps. Make sure that your joints aren't doing your work, your muscles are. And then curling the toes under. It's almost like a good idea to start to send the hips back, pop the knees up a little bit, and then go back. There's no glory in straightening your legs or getting your heels to the floor, right? And then you can come forward. So that is the modification for chaturanga. Put your knees down and still really practice, right? Practice getting into that proper form, but do it with your knees down. Especially if you do tricep push-ups with your knees down, drop your knees for sure. Okay, a lot of times she is suggesting after the first round, jumping back. Do not jump back. Please do not jump back. The only way that someone should be jumping back is if you are able to actually jump back into chaturanga. So if you can, I don't even know if I can do it right now, but I'm like so exhausted from lower body. So if you can jump back like this, like automatically bending, because you need to take that shock out of your shoulders. I've been doing yoga for 19 years, okay? So I can jump back into a chaturanga. I would say 99% of people can't. And so guessing that most of you might be in that 99% who haven't been doing yoga for almost 20 years, just step back. But as you step back, again, practice sort of that that tricep push-up movement that you would have if you went into chaturanga, right? So take the pressure out of your shoulders, but please step back. Okay, next, chair. Let's see, can you see me? So she has everyone go into chair like this. This can be very extreme on the shoulders. So I like to offer the option of having the hands out in front. Now you want to be reaching through those fingers, but keeping the shoulders plugged in as you do this. And for chair, think about sending your butt towards the back. Think about like your sibling, like they've got a chair. It's like, oh, it's cool, go ahead, sit down. And then they keep moving it. So you would be going like this with your butt, right? So you're gonna feel more weight in your heels. Like you can even pick up your toes and then put them back down. So you're sitting back, like you can see, I'm sitting back. Like this is almost a right angle here. This is your chair. And you can even keep your hands on your hips if that helps. Okay, warrior one. Whew, it's warm in here. So she has your back foot at an angle and then square your hips to the short edge of your mat. This can be hard on some people's hips and knees. So I want you to feel free to, can't really see it, to pick up that heel and point the toes forward. Now this is a little bit, it's a slightly different pose, but I don't think it matters. The spirit is there, and this allows you to really square your hips to the front edge of the mat. If this is too difficult for you, it's totally up to you, whatever works. And then she has hands behind the back like this and come down. This may or may not be available to you. And if it's not, hold on a second. Please hold. Just like grab something, right? Maybe it's your loops. Actually, the loops are kind of great. Grab one of your loops, hold it behind like this, and think about pinching a pencil or a crayon or a marker or something between your shoulder blades. Draw your shoulder blades back. Draw your knuckles down towards the floor. Engage the core, and then start to come over. And if this is as far as your arms go, that's totally fine. If they want to go like this, that's totally fine. These things are awesome. So you can try to use one of these. You could use a belt, you could use a bathrobe tie, but these might be a little bit more accessible for you to just grab to do that. Okay. Next is pyramid. I think Kat shows this, and this is like part of the, part of the warm-ups too, is pyramid. So just using the blocks, right? Blocks or books or whatever, so that you can keep the correct form without hurting yourself. Okay. Warrior two, right? Warrior two is like this. When you get into this pose, make sure your shoulders are dropped down away from your ears. Okay, a lot of times we can tend to be like this. Drop them down the back. And then side angle. So she has us go into side angle. The top arm, you can't really see it, palm is facing down towards the floor and the arm is alongside the ears. If this is too much, keep the hand on the hip. The idea with side angle is to be able to spin the chest up towards the ceiling. So if you can't do that with the arm like this, you might be able to do that here, and it provides a great opening through the shoulder. Now, when you're doing side angle, how much are you leaning into your arm? The abs should be doing the work, not the arm and the leg. So test it. Pick your arm up, engage your abs before you do it, and feel your legs as if they're like scissoring together, so they're really strong. Our adductor muscles, these inner thigh muscles, a lot of times they're super weak. This motion of feeling the legs scissoring together, and you can do this in all the asymmetrical poses, right, where the legs are sort of like this, or even in Warrior One. Feel the legs scissoring together, and that'll engage those muscles. That starts strengthening them as well. So the idea is this, right? And spinning upward. It's really hard, but you want to work on the different elements of it. So rather than worrying about doing exactly what it looks like they're doing, work on strengthening and lengthening into the different elements. Does that make sense? Okay, half moon. Oof. I couldn't even believe it when I saw this one. Okay. So the way that she has us going into half moon is something like this, right? It took me a long time to be able to do it, and I do it better on the right side than on the left. Now, it's a very, very challenging move, but what if, it's got stuff on there, let's do this. What if you didn't have to get that far down to the ground? The idea is being able to stack the hips and find your balance. So, what if you could do that on a chair? Let me show you a little bit better what I'm doing. I've got the seat of the chair here, right? So, going into this way, I've got the hips really stacked, one on top of the other. So I'm not going as far down. It doesn't matter. I'm actually in better form doing that. And if that's too far, you know, let's say the table would be about this height, do it at this height. Who cares? Try to get the idea of it, but the form is much more important than how far down you go. Like, going deep into poses is not really the idea. That's what I don't love about this particular workout. I think it challenges people in a way that's like too extreme. I know it's supposed to be extreme, but a lot of people don't have that kind of flexibility. So, yeah, use the chair, right? And find that proper form. Find that form where the shoulders are away from the ears. One hip is stacked on top of the other. You're pressing that foot away, and you can really find it. Trust me, it's plenty of work. And same thing for standing split.